Good morning, class. Today in our lesson we are going to learn about the two sound patterns. Two sound patterns, that is consonants and rhyme. Consonants and rhyme. And in our lesson we are going to also look at the effect of those sound patterns in an oral poem. So before we get to look at the two sound patterns, that is consonants and rhyme, and the effect of those sound patterns in an oral poem, we are going to consider a poem from East Africa written by Proscofia Ruayaka. The poem is entitled The Beard. The poem says this: In the pulpit he swayed and turned, leaned forward, backward, to the right, to the left. That is how the poem starts. I repeat it once more. In the pulpit he swayed and turned, leaned forward, backward, to the right, to the left. That is how the poem starts. And that is the poem we are going to consider as far as we are going to look at consonants and rhyme. So consonants is the repetition of similar consonant sounds at the end of a word or words which have got close proximity in the same rhyme. Is that okay, class? So consonants is the repetition of similar consonant sounds at the end of a word or words which have got close proximity in the same rhyme. Let's take the second line of the poem. The second line of the poem says this: leaned forward, backward. Let's consider the word forward, backward. When you pronounce the word forward and backward, the last sound we have consonant D. When you pronounce the two words, they almost sound similar. So we underline consonant D in the word forward and consonant D in the word backward, because when you pronounce the two, they almost sound similar. And in this case, we are not considering the spelling of a word, we are considering the pronunciation. You have to pronounce the word for you to justify whether there is what? Consonants there or not. Also the third line of the poem. The third line of the poem says this: to the right, to the left. Let's look at the word right, left. Consider the last consonant in those words. Right, the last consonant sound there is consonant T. The last consonant in the word left is consonant T. There is also consonants in that line. So we underline consonant T in the word right and consonant T in the word left, because when you pronounce them, actually they almost sound similar. So that is all about consonants. Repetition of similar consonant sounds at the end of a word or words which have got close proximity in the same rhyme. Let's look at rhyme now. Rhyme, for the case of rhyme, we consider the pronunciation of the last words in each and every rhyme. Like for example, the last word in line 1 is the word turned. The last word in line 2 of the poem is the word backward. So we have turned, then backward. Those words rhyme because they almost sound similar. And remember, for the case of rhyme, we are considering the pronunciation of the last words in each and every rhyme. The pronunciation of the last word in each and every rhyme. Rhyme 1, the last word turned. Rhyme 2, the last word backward. They sound similar. So we have rhyme. Now, what is the effect of consonants and rhyme in a poem, in an oral poem? The effect is that they actually create what we call musicality, or what we call rhythm. Like, for example, in the pulpit he swayed and turned, leaned forward, backward, to the right, to the left. So when you say to the right, to the left, there is that musicality that comes out. Also, when considering rhyme in this poem, the last word in line 1 is turned. Then backward, line 2, the last word. There is that musicality. Turned, backward, to the right, to the left. So the effect of these two sound patterns is that actually they create what we call musicality in an oral poem. Also about performance of a given rhyme in an oral poem, like for example, let's assume you have been told to perform line 6 of the poem. Line 6 of the poem says this: do you love your neighbor? How will you perform that before the audience? You will say that line with what? A rising what? Intonation. It is a question. As well as you can point at someone. Do you love your neighbor? Let's look at the last line of the poem. The spirit of my dear God. How will you perform that? You will say, I will perform the last line of the poem with a falling intonation to show finality. You have come to the end of your poem. Falling intonation to show finality. That marks the end of our lesson, class, and thank you so much for paying attention. Thank you so much.